Hello everybody, I hope you're having a great day today. I wanted to do a video because many people ask me questions almost daily. Well, why do you need guns? Or they seem surprised that I have guns. And this usually at work, and some people, have not been around guns all their lives. And they're just curious, and I have no issue with them speaking to me about guns. And I sort of get this impression, though, they believe anybody that has a handgun or any kind of rifle perhaps are warmongers, or they're inviting more trouble by just being armed. And if you're basically a patriotic American, you would know the history of America and why guns are very important, because they actually liberated us. That's basically why there's the Second Amendment, to make sure that the government always knows the population, the populace, so to speak, will always be armed and able to protect themselves. Those same citizens will also be able to protect the government. If you think about it, should there have been a wartime situation, even to this day, you can run by many scenarios where tactical nuclear weapons could be used to take out a city or two, but it's basically to lay the groundwork for an opposing force to invade our country. Okay? If you look at the southern border right now, they are invading our country. They're unarmed, and they're doing it by stealth, mostly in political beliefs that are basically against the Constitution, against the law, and basically immoral, invading another country. So when I get in conversations with people, I speak to them about different weapons. And from the lowest, smallest handgun you can think of, like the RG Roam 10 or R10, whatever it is called, that shoots a 22 short, basically all the way up to the biggest rifle you can think of, biggest caliber rifle, let's just say for now, a 45 ACP round or a 7.62 long-barreled rifle that is basically a sniper gun or a 50 caliber BMG that can reach out and kill someone a mile away. Okay, there's lots of different uses other than to harm an individual or use it in a wartime situation. Here I have my Glock 17, Generation 4, and I trust my life with it. I have not put it through the ringer, I've not done all the tests with it, but I know Glock quality because I've had probably 7 or 8 Glocks in the 1990s alone when I was on the force. They work, and they ask you, or you ask it to do something for you, and it does that job every single time. So I bought it basically on layaway for almost $500, $600, and it didn't set me back, but it took about 3 months to purchase it fully. And I have fire capacity right now, looking at my needs to protect myself, whether it's inside the house or inside my truck, or just walking around in the mall or going shopping in the local grocery store. I have 17 rounds, plus one is 18 rounds of 9mm ammunition. With about a 4-inch barrel, that's basically shooting a 9mm round at approximately 1,100 feet per second, which is above the sound barrier. And that's not enough velocity and force and the actual mass of the bullet itself to cause enough damage that if I am assaulted by anyone, it would it would end the threat right there and then. Do I want that bullet to go much further and faster? Not really. I don't want to shoot people and then just have bullets go out the back and then harm perhaps innocent people. I want to hit what I'm aiming for and then be done with it and make my escape. And then you come to this little piece here, the Wise AR-15 pistol. I was looking at this and I'm thinking, I have 2 AR-15 pistols already. Okay, well, why do I need this? Well, those other longer guns, AR rifles, are basically for the homestead. It's to reach out, about 500 meters or so, should anybody be shooting or sniping at me. And that's what it is used for. You can also use it for small game. from pigs, perhaps livestock if you had to, perhaps deer. You can use it to go hunting, and especially if you want to stay off some distance and the food chain is basically scarce, a longer rifle might be needed up to 300 to 600 meters. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, okay, well, what about a homestead gun? That I can move around easier, I can navigate through doors easier, and I still have the firepower of an AR-15/M16. I was raised on an M16 in the Army and the military, so they're almost synonymous, but they're not. You should have some good 5.56 ammunition, high-powered, and ready to go long distances. For training purposes, I use the 223 55 grain bullet, not the 5.56 62 grain bullet. I believe anywhere in city or urban warfare, the 223 55 grain is ample enough to, 1, eliminate the enemy, and 2, make good your escape. So I like this little gem here. I bought it reasonably priced at Wise Arms. It's the exact same thing as an AR-15 rifle and M16 or M4. You see the dust cover, you see the forward assist, and you see the shell guard here that basically protects your eyes when the shell is being extracted. All right. With the 30-round magazine, I believe this is all I need inside the home. And should anybody try to surround my home in some kind of insurgency or mob warfare, I feel I'm very protected. Yes, other rifles and other handguns I do have may be deployed, but for ready use, these are what I think of when it comes to actual safety. So having these conversations with individuals that don't know much about handguns, they can go on YouTube and basically see people getting shot every night when they're robbed, or they shoot bad guys that are robbing them. And it occurs daily, if not hourly, or by the minute, all over America where people are being assaulted. So think about what you want to buy when you purchase a handgun. Are you trained in it? Do you know how fast the bullet is going? Do you know what the capability of each bullet is? Here, with the Wise AR-15, it's just a short barrel. Well, it's not short barrel, but it's basically a 7-inch barrel. It's shooting the 223 round or 5.56 round out at approximately probably 2,500 feet per second. I know that that round can go out to basically 300 yards and still hit and kill something. Kill someone who is basically trying to shoot a rifle back at me. So, am I going to sit there and just take incoming rounds at it? No, I might lay down a suppressive amount of fire at that perceived enemy at a distance of 100 to 300 yards and then make good my escape to safety. I'm always looking for cover, I'm always looking for concealment, and I want to leave the situation as soon as possible. Unless it's an all-out war where I have to sit there and protect that area I am at, that's what I'm going to do, legally speaking, to avoid any kind of terroristic attack. I know the capabilities of this pistol right here, of both pistols. But the AR pistol I bought specifically for an intermediate range gun, basically 50 yards to 300 yards. And it's been proven the pistol with a shorter barrel still works, almost like an AR rifle. And again, the AR rifle is designed to shoot around 3,000 to 3,200 feet per second, basically out to 600 yards and to kill an enemy. Okay, so that's why I like my guns. I know every gun has a purpose, every gun can harm and kill someone. Okay, some guns are better than others, and I know what I expect out of the round coming out of these pistols. So, a shout out to Wise Arms. I called up the guy, and he had basically an advertisement on one of the gun sites online, and it was for $409. And I looked at that and I was like, man, I would like an AR pistol. So I called him up and he said, well, where'd you hear me from? And I said, I believe it was Guns America, excuse me. And he said, oh, yeah, I discontinued that. Or it was guns.deal.com. I forgot which one it was. And he said, yeah, I discontinued that. And I said, well, when would you start doing it again? And he said in so many words, I can do it now, actually. I just can't let the whole public know I'm doing it because the back orders would put me back so far I'd lose business, getting swamped with just AR pistols alone. Mr. Wise is a very good man, and he said he would do one. So I owned this, bought this, and basically had it within my custody within 2 weeks. He took care of it within 15 days. He sent it to my FFL, and I had it 2 days after that. And I have not regretted it since, and I will never get rid of this gun. I will never pawn it off. I will never sell it. I will never get rid of it at all. This will be my go-to-war first pick gun to get to the larger rifles that I need to. So again, think about guns and the ammunition that you use like a step ladder. If I was just going to a picnic, then perhaps I would just want a mouse gun, like a 22 long rifle of perhaps a Jennings, perhaps a little Beretta, perhaps a little Taurus. There's so many options you can choose from. Okay, I am not expecting any kind of warfare. I am not expecting to be assaulted at my family's picnic that I go to visit, across town in the nicer neighborhood. But should something happen, what do I do next? Okay, perhaps if there is some kind of gun battle, my shooting off 22 long rifle rounds that are pretty anemic, I admit that, might be enough to disable or incapacitate that threat, and then I can respond to my truck. Then in my truck, I would have my Glock 17. Perhaps I can take my Glock 17 and put it in a holster, put it on my belt real quick, or just use it in my hand and eliminate more threats. Perhaps that guy that I originally shot, or at least warded off with a couple of rounds, perhaps he has friends. So my Glock 17 with 17 plus 1 would be the next step. Okay, what if that Glock 17 isn't enough and these individuals are armed to the teeth, they have shotguns, they have AK rifles, they have other AR-15s? Then my next step would basically be to go get my AR-15 pistol with 30 rounds of firepower, 40 rounds. I usually have 40 round magazines also on the side that can be loaded and ready to go in a second. And then I could use that to basically be more accurate and take out each threat as they appear more precisely. And mind you, again, I'm thinking about concealment, I'm thinking about cover, and I'm thinking about safety of actual innocent people around. So I want a more specific weapon like an AR pistol that will put my round exactly where I want it. And also the round will most likely take down these subjects quicker than just a 9mm pistol at a farther distance. That AR round will meet at a farther distance that suspect or that threat and eliminate them quicker. So what happens if they're eliminated and then more of their mob is down the street and there's threats everywhere and there's actually an insurgency? Well, I would hope that if there was a location like my house nearby, or perhaps in their house, if they had an AR-15 rifle, then I would retreat into their house at this alleged picnic, at this alleged party, and I'm skilled enough I can use an AR-15, that are made. They're pretty generic. They're pretty simple to use. Then I could use that with a faster round going at 3,000 feet per second, with better aim, better sights. Perhaps it has a red dot system on it or something like that, perhaps a scope. And I could take out further threats that still wish to harm me and my family. So I'm looking at each handgun and each weapon as the ladder. And once the system or once the threat gets worse, or once you eliminate the threat, you have to determine which weapon you are going to use. That's how I look at it. That's how we were trained in DC. That's how we were trained by the Marines when we did shooting courses. That's how we were trained, basically, with the FBI also, as just a little rinky-dink police department in DC called the Metropolitan Police Department. So, if you're a new person and you don't know why people have a gun, think about all the reasons and all the bad things happen, and then train. Train to let go of a lot of your fears about, the guns are just there to kill people. They're not. They're there to save people. And when people start understanding that, we'll have more and more gun enthusiasts and people who support patriotic causes and nationalistic causes of the United States. So I can go on and on and on. Pull out a handgun, and I can tell you about it. I would at least like to learn more about it and actually practice with it. Know its full capabilities, and I would love to write a report on it. Give me the gun, and I can tell you if it's usable or not, if it would be worth it. But just remember this. No matter what caliber weapon it is, no matter what size, no matter how small or how large, every weapon, handgun, rifle, shotgun, derringer, pistol, every handgun serves a purpose and can harm or kill someone, which might be its purpose. But it's there for self-defense. Every handgun can kill. Thank you guys. I hope you like this opinion of mine, and I hope you have a good evening. Bye.